Welcome to another video. Thank you for watching all my other videos, and if you are new, thank you for stopping by. In this video, we are going to be making Asoebi men's cap, the ones that Yoruba people use for weddings. So I have Asooke here, and I'm going to measure 9 inches from diagonally from that point up 9 inches. You see the way I did it, and then I will measure 13 inches that way and measure from the same point I did the 9 inches before. I measure 13 inches. So the reason for doing this is to have um pattern, the kind of pattern that you see on the men's cap. If you're using a plain material, you won't see any pattern, but if you're using Ashoke that has this line, so it's going to create a beautiful pattern on the cap. That's the reason why we do it like this. So you can notice that I am making markings on the wrong side to indicate, because I'm going to be cutting 3 pieces of this. Just follow me gradually as I cut, and you see how this cap is going to come alive. Meanwhile, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button before you leave. And if you're already subscribed, thank you for your support. So I'm just going to cut the other 2 pieces, and then I'm going to be joining all 3 pieces together. So the ashoke I have is not the full um bundle. It's just one strand of out of the 8 bundles. So remember that I cut these patterns straight like that. So I'm going to be placing it like this. I can either top stitch or sew the regular way we do, with the right sides facing each other and sew like that. But I'm going to be sewing mine like this, top stitching like this. So I'm going to sew all 3 together like this. I hope you understand. So when you're top stitching, make sure that you do it twice. You make your stitches tight so that it doesn't loosen later, and use a matching thread. So if you see now, you still see my 3 markings of the wrong side. It's not easy to identify them. So once you do, we should try and just make the markings so that you will always be aware of the right and the wrong side. So now I'm just showing how I am going to join this end and the other end together. So the same way I did the joining of the 3 pieces, I can either top stitch or sew like this, like you see me sewing. So I top stitch again, and this is the end result. Now I have one circular shape, and I'm just going to slit that on any side. It doesn't matter the side. So my markings are still there. I still know the right and the wrong side. And now I'm just going to take a measurement of the length, which is 26.5 inches. And the width is 8.5 inches. So the actual cake can vary. Some of them will be like almost 9 inches, a little more than that 8.5 inches that I have. So now I have my hard stay, the type they use for collars. So I'm going to be placing my hard stay like this. I put the measurement on the screen, so you'll get it 26 by 3 inches. Yes. So from the tip, from one end like this, I'm measuring 0.75 inches. That's 3/4 of an inch. Can you see what I'm doing? 3/4 of an inch away from the tip, or away from the edges, before placing my stay, the gum stay. Meanwhile, it's the shiny part that is on the okay, so that I can iron it later. There is no light at the moment I was making this cap. There was no light, so I just used my pins to hold it down. Even if there was light, I would still use the pins, but I would be able to iron before making the straight lines. So you see what I've done here. With my pins, I was able to sew and just make these designs with my matching thread. So the next thing now is to fold this way. I hope you understand the way I folded it. So I'm just trying to push, and at the same time making sure that I don't fold the paper stay in any way. And then I stitched like quarter of an inch inward. Can you see? Quarter of an inch. So this is what it looks like after sewing it. And the next step is to use my lining. So you remember the 0.75 inches I left before attaching my stay. So I'm just going to sew half inch out of that 0.5 inches. Half inch with my lining, and this is what it is. This is what it looks like. And then I'm going to top stitch on the lining. I hope you understand, on the lining, so it will be easy for me to turn it inward. So I've top stitched here, and this is what it looks like. You can see the color of my thread is also showing, the lilac thread. I'm going to top stitch again on the right side now. That's the right side with the lining this way. Here I've done it. So you see that last line is where I top stitched. Then the next thing is to sew my lining and the Asooke separately this way. So one thing you should take note of when sewing is that you must match your Asooke this way. Make sure that the edges are matching so that when you are turning it this way, you will not be having too much difference, or there shouldn't be any difference at all. So I've gone ahead to I trimmed off those excesses a little, and then I turned it inward like this. And now the next thing is to sew the lining with the Asooke together round. And this is what it looks like now after sewing round. So they are now one piece. And what's left is the top cover. And what I have left, this is what I have left of my Asooke. So it's not going to be enough like this. I had to cut that into two and also cut lining, and then I top stitched the Asooke. I joined them together to create a larger space for my cover. So after placing that round shape on the Asooke and lining together, I gave about an inch allowance after making my markings. I gave about an inch allowance and then sew the lining with the Asooke together. As you can see, I've sewn it together because I used the chalk to make the markings prior to the sewing. So I'm just making marks, four corners of the circular and the round circumference as well. That's the head circumference. So I made marks on the 4 points, like the four cardinal points of the two pieces, so that I could match them up when sewing them together. I hope you understand, just to make it more accurate and neater. So that's it for this cap. The last thing was to weave. So after joining these two pieces together, I went to weave. Although I didn't weave before I concluded this video, but I did before I gave it before I gave the cap out. So this is what it looks like before weaving, and then I ironed it, and this is the final result. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you find this video helpful. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.